Let us discuss methods of representation. First, territorial representation. It means representation based on territorial divisions. It is also known as geographical representation. For purpose of election, the whole country is divided into units. Each unit is known as an electoral district or constituency. The number and size of these constituencies depend on the area and the population of the country, as well as the number of representatives to be elected. For example, in India, if Lok Sabha requires 450 members, the whole country is divided into 450 constituencies. Constituencies may be either single member or multi-member. When the total area is divided into as many electoral districts as there are representatives to be elected, and one representative is chosen from each constituency, is known as single member constituency. For example, the results of a constituency: total number of votes polled 4,000. There are 3 candidates. Candidate of vote A 2,500. Votes of candidate B 1,000. Votes of candidate C 500. The candidate who scores the highest number of votes in a constituency is declared elected. So from this example, it is clear that candidate A is declared elected. But we can also see that candidate A represents only 2,500 people of the constituency. 1,500 people of the constituency are not represented by candidate A. Demerits of territorial representation. They are as follows. First one, no representation. The successful candidate may secure only 60% of the votes. As a result, 40% of the voters may go unrepresented. Second, difficult to enforce laws. When laws are framed by the representatives of the majority, the minorities may not obey the laws because they are not involved in framing it. Third, tyranny of the majority. A government run by the majority party may pass laws which is not in the public interest through brute majority. Fourth, undemocratic. When a large number of people remain unrepresented and have no voice in the conduct of government, there cannot be democracy in the true sense. Fifth, gerrymandering. Sometimes the boundaries of the constituencies may be manipulated to secure advantage to the party in power to capture more seats. The need to provide adequate representation to minorities has been upheld. As a result, different methods of minority representation evolved, which are as follows. First one, proportional representation. There are 2 types of proportional representation. A, the Hare system of single transferable vote. B, the list system. Let us first see the Hare system of single transferable vote. This system was put forward by Thomas Hare, an Englishman, in his book Election of Representatives in the year 1851. It was first introduced by Carl Andre in 1855 in Denmark, and therefore it is also called as the Andre system. Let us see the features of proportional representation. First one, multi-member constituencies. This system requires a multi-member constituencies, that is, should have at least 3 seats in a constituency. That means from a constituency, not one member but minimum 3 members should be elected. Second, one vote and marking preferences. The voter has one vote but has to mark out the order of his preference. Look at the screen. For example, voter X preference has been given. When voter X goes to the polling station, when he finds there are 5 candidates, he has to give his order of preference. And in this example, we can see that candidate C has been given first preference by voter X and second preference to A, third preference to B, fourth preference to E, and fifth preference to D. Third point, quota. In a multi-member constituency, a candidate is declared elected if they secure the quota, which is based on the Drupe formula. The Drupe formula is as follows. Look at the screen. Formula is given on the screen. Total number of votes polled plus 1 upon number of seats plus 1 equal to quota. For example, total number of votes polled 5,000, number of seats 3, quota required by each candidate is 1,251. In the first counting, only the first preference votes are counted. If candidate C secures 2,000 first preference votes, but he requires only 1,251 votes to fulfill the quota and win the election. The remaining votes are then transferred to the candidate who is next in rank in votes but is unable to fulfill the quota on his own. The transfer of excess votes continues till the required number of representatives get elected by fulfilling the quota. This system is followed in South Africa and Canada for municipalities, and in India in case of elections to the Rajya Sabha, as well as in electing the President and Vice President of India. Let us now discuss the list system. The features are as follows. First point, voting for list. In this system, every party gives a list of its candidates according to the number of seats in each constituency. The voters vote not for the candidates but for a list. Each party wins the number of seats equal to its share of the votes secured. Second, quota. The quota needed by a party is fixed according to the principle given by the Hare system. That is, the quota required will be 1/3 of the number of votes. Look at the screen. For example, votes given in a constituency, 1 lakh. Number of seats, 5. Quota required by a party to be declared winner, 20,000. Votes secured by list A, 42,000. Votes secured by list B, 41,000. Votes secured by list C, 15,000. As parties A and B secure more than the required quota, so list A and list B secure 2 seats each. Party C falls short of quota by 4,000 and it secures no seat. So party A can secure one more seat according to one principle, but according to another principle, party C can get one seat by adding surplus 4,000 votes secured by the party in a neighboring constituency. This system is followed in Spain, Turkey, and Israel. Merits of proportional representation. The merits are as follows. First, reflects popular opinion. Proportional representation is able to reflect popular opinion as every vote counted is reflected in the result. Second, equitable representation of minorities. The various minorities and groups secure representation in the legislature in proportion to their voting strength. Third, no wastage of votes. As voters beyond the required quota are transferred, votes have value and they are not wasted. Fourth, enforcement of laws easy. Laws passed by the legislature reflect the opinion of the majority of the people. Therefore, laws can be easily enforced. Fifth, no tyranny of majority. Democracy is meaningful as there is no tyranny of the majority under proportional system. Sixth, no need to redraw boundaries. There will be no need to redraw the boundaries of the constituency to equate the number of electors in the constituency on the basis of election. Demerits of proportional representation. The demerits are as follows. First, complicated system. A voter is unable to understand the procedure of voting and therefore it's a complicated system. Second, lack of contact. As constituencies are large, campaigning is done by the party. Therefore, there is lack of connection between the electorate and the candidate. Third, lack of stable government. The proportional representation may lead to a weak coalition government which can lead to legislative paralysis. Fourth, no accountability. After an election, if any party loses confidence of the people, they can retain office by finding new coalition partners. Fifth, multiplication of political parties. Proportional representation encourages multiplication of political parties, which results in election violence. Sixth, sectional interest. Proportional representation represents narrow sectional interest rather than national interest. Second, communal representation. Communal representation is explained in two ways. A. Separate electorates. Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs constituted separate electorates. That is, Hindus voted for Hindus, Muslims voted for Muslims, and so on. B. Joint electorate with reservation of seats. The electorate is joint, but a seat is reserved for a minority group which may be based on caste or religion. This system was introduced by the British in India through the Minto-Morley reforms 1909 and also through the Montfort reforms 1919. After independence, separate electorates was abolished and the constitution provided for the reservation of seats for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. Communal representation divides the people of the country into groups along communal lines, which creates suspicion and dislike of one another. Third, functional representation. Advocates like G.D.H. Cole, Browman, Leproy, Duggett held the view that in a legislature, members should represent the various functional or occupational interest groups in society. This type of representation existed in the Soviet Union, Germany during the Weimar Constitution, Italy, Mussolini's fascist corporate state, Yugoslavia, Poland, Portugal, and was later abandoned. Demerits of functional representation. The demerits are as follows. First point, national interest ignored. The representatives think along functional or occupational interests rather than national interest. Second, no stable government. This representation gives rise to many parties and therefore it will be difficult to have a stable government. Third, paralysis of government. If the interest of one group affects the interests of another group, no group is willing to sacrifice its interests. This results in deadlock. Fourth, practical difficulties. It's difficult to give representation to a large number of occupations and workers because they shift their jobs frequently, causing conflict.